Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright. Ace Attorney, Rise from the Ashes. I'm Luigi Man 64D, and we just barely, escaped a guilty verdict. But sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes. I was a witness of the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day. Unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. Permanent picture? After the incident, I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted the guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence, and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known it was given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true. Even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She began cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did. Especially not to Emma. About the permanent picture? What did you see in that instant the crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14. Well, that's understandable. once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I wanted to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Ema tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Ema. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices or questioning rooms are right across the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly! Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? Well, that's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? I better have another talk with her. Alright, Ema. We're going somewhere. I hope she's up for questioning today. There she is. Lana! Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lana! You're wrong! An innocent person might be found guilty! Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Ema told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details? Especially about that unusual change of jobs. I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. So, I just want to know about today's trial. A lot of revelations were uncovered in the trial today. Not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen. I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Ema. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why would you tell us? Ema, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so phased before. What about you as a detective? It's true. I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing! She mounts fast. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? Then he was a vice head of criminal affairs, but he still worked in the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever! They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed! Ema really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you could later use that experience in court. Gant's help in the SL9 case was critical in its resolution. After that, he became chief of police, and arranged my transfer for the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the chief detective was, no doubt, Damon Gant? Yes. Detective Gant and I shared the same office, and the same investigations. They even had the same office! We led the team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. I can understand why. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when the last murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Detective Gant and Prosecutor Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, when Dark must have panicked. He waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Detective Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. I can't blame her, after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident? That's right. Quite a coincidence, huh? I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to the extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark and then by the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself. The Chief's office. Maybe we should just have a look at the Chief's office. The site of the final SL9 murder. Right. I guess we're going now. Thanks, Lana. We'll just be seeing you, I guess. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kind of quiet around here today. You're right. The head of the department seems the same, though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right. We can come back here later. Let's head to the police department. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera. You know, you never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck could run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance. But we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If there's ever was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was this one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. So, about the dark trial. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there was a good chance the knife was not a murder weapon. However, in that report that was finally submitted, the possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just had made detective when I was down. It was our first case together. How old was he? Your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You don't mean King of Prosecutors? Not that again! What are you looking at me for like that? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and the nightfall there was thunder. Can't believe 2 years had gone by already. Tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently, someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. So about these scars. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired, and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. These two keep being mentioned as a pair. Chief Detective Damon Gant and second in command Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step into both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah. Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Huh? Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one more thing for sure I'd find out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Oh. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. No, Marshall was actually wasn't a bad guy. Annoying and hard to work with, but not a bad guy. Which means if we go to the underground parking lot, hey, no one's here today. Not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Because remember, because of this new system that was implemented in 2016, we're only allowed, or 2012 was it? We're only allowed like 4 years back. We only have 3 days. B block. That's a visitor's park. So, Star climbed over this fence? It seems so, yeah. This fence is like 9 feet high at least. Well, no time like the present. I think I'll give it a little try. Alright. It's okay, don't cry. Maybe this is a Lunchland Olympics team? Dude, I'm not even gonna try that. Well, if she ain't here, then, check here. Maybe we'll find Edgeworth or something. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned at an inquiry committee? He took a real beating in the court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. I guess we'll just have to come back later. Well, then where else do I have to go? Oh yeah, I think I wanted to ask her something else. No. Well then. I guess I'll go to here. Maybe there's Gumshoe now. This place is always pretty empty, but today's deserted. That must mean everyone busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Wow, he's actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision and what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media and tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just head across the hall into the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't even go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Well, alright. I don't see why not. Since we know where it is. Whoa! Please don't tell me he's here. Please don't tell me he's here. Please don't tell me he's here. Whoa! Where am I? In the chief's office, silly. At least, that's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was a genius until they tried teaching me notes. Oh, I never could remember where C was. Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant! He put the paper he was reading on his desk. So, Mr. Wright, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct and Lana's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence. 2 years ago have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? Oh, cool. That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture, though. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. I'm gonna have to remember this. Maybe I can use my cell phone. No, it doesn't have a... sir? Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh! But this office... It was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's a case that's since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, we'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out! I have a meeting to attend. He looks like we aren't welcome. It seems that case isn't over with yet, after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he didn't want us looking around. You mean like a clue? There's gotta be a way we can investigate Chief's office. Maybe we'll head back. I'm looking for one detective who's definitely ready to help us. Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe! Were you in a meeting? I was, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long in the meeting? Actually, I had to serve everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battle's between you two in court. That sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. I falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has a whole world after his blood. Yikes. So, Gumshoe. About this crisis. But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Skye was the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence he presented in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been a lot of rumors going around Mr. Edgeworth. Those who don't like him haven't been able to do anything about it because of his amazing talent as a prosecutor. But now with this. Are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only had that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes, sir. You gotta take me back to the joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. It seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. It's possible. Actually, I took a look at the files earlier while the coffee was brewing. Does everyone have a copy of these? He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth, though. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Stark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Me. It seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. I think it has something to do with the murder weapon. Oh, I forget. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His power of recollection never failed to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Right. I wanted to talk about Dark's crimes, but I think I'll show him the murder weapon first. Nope, that's Mr. Edgeworth's knife. This one. About this. Hey! Don't tell me that's... It has a tag attached to it with the label SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, the knife's been locked away in the locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker and was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it! Now I remember what that incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what was it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. Yeah, quick, let's hurry up. Murder weapon. This knife. It was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it. He bought it at. And it had his fingerprints on it, too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anybody, right? That's where his luck ran out. When we take a good look at the knife, you'll see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look at it to notice. Yeah, well anyway, take a guess where the broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. Uh-huh. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Dark's knife? You bet! Down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Oh, now we got his autopsy report. That'll help. And now we know more about this switchblade knife. So, about Dark's crimes. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. A businessman? What made him take on serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So, it was an accident? An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed a lady who saw the second crime. The kid walked by just then, so he killed him too. Then he was burying the bodies. A jogger came on upon the scene and he killed him as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So, he turned himself in? Yes, but in the middle of questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but fortunately, he was arrested on the spot. It was a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness. He must mean Emma. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant. Yeah, he does load $50. But it's not money, but it does concern the Chief. His office is a crime scene, right? Is where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The Chief's out now, and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What? Really? But if I let a civilian in there, well, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Oh. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. Well, if there is, I'd probably have it in my inventory, in my court record. Anyway, let's look at this. Damon Gant, Neil Marshall, and Lana Skye. Something's odd about this. Let's see what Huh. Let's try showing him this. Let me share a little advice with you as a detective. If I don't have a clue, keep your trap shut. I'll keep that in mind. Sheesh. All right. Oh, wait a minute. When I was looking at that, I noticed something similar. I just gotta ask that. This. About that jar. I think I've seen it before somewhere. Somewhere? Or maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives. This must be the most uninformational detective I've ever met. Something about it makes me feel uneasy. It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me. Chief Gant? Where could I have seen that before? Well, he's trying to jog his memory. Huh. Let's leave him be. Let's see if there's anyone here. Let's see if Angel Star is here back yet. Let's see if she's there. Nope. Let's check if Edgeworth is there. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is! He looks like he's writing something. Huh? What are you doing here? He sure was quick to throw that paper at the floor. Tough day at court, huh? I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. Well, first, I'm gonna go look at that piece of paper. I wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First, let me see what the girl's doing crawling over my feet. He didn't even look. What? Letter of... If you can't read, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. I can't even... He can't even say it. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, Mr. Wright. I feel as if something inside me has died. But Mr. Edgeworth, none of it's your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. I'll just put it in my pocket. You'll just have to write up another one. So anyway, Edgeworth, forged evidence? There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I can do can erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same, no matter what excuses I might have. Mr. Edgeworth, I take pride in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial, and now this one. It seems all you doers worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out in the trial. Tomorrow is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I've never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists? That is odd, actually. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but at the time there was only one thing on my mind. I'd use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. The picture? Something seems strange about it. Yeah, let's show him that picture, I guess. It's, there it is. This one. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding, it's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was the official prosecutor trophy used until that time. There's a story behind it. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. Contradiction? Whatever. The day of the crime? Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in a ceremony over the station, right? I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah! Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because Chief Gant asked you to? That's right. Okay, something's odd about that. It doesn't even have any relevance. The prosecutor's award originates from the ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with two characters. The first means halberd, and the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though? For Emma's sake. Very well. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day, he presented the king with two items. The first was a halberd, and he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other! Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus, the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Oh, I see! So the chipped shield and the broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with a merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion. Even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow! Thanks, Mr. Edgeworth! I learned something new today! That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant. Well, at least we know the backstory behind it. And why it's missing a halberd. Alright. Thanks, Edgeworth. I think we're done here for now. Off we go to the parking lot then. Excuse me. Oh. Would either of you care for a quarter-pound of roast beef? Miss Starr! I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Still, what? Wait, why did she have to go with that? Then again, it's kind of, yeah. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. You know, thinking about it, she was right. The person must have been really curious and really thirsty. Not only that, but the murder occurred the very day the evidence from that case was due for transferal. This can't all be attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know, that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Starr's hatred towards Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though. He must have gone through the fryer. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, he took over Jake. He became obsessed. And seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Skye. My sister? The best of the best were put on the SL9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. So after the case closed, that legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up with our investigation. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. You mean with the forging of the evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in the court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. But you didn't have to prove anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. Huh? After that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties. Most without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used? Legendary duo? Damon Gant and Lana Skye. 2 years ago, Gant was chief detective, and Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that, I mean his ability to attract evidence. He produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. Incredible evidence? You mean... Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him, though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. Other detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked, and always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Starr. That's why. I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Being used. Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control. And then no one can stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. What? You mean that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he can control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing I know for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude. There must have been a reason for her to change. At last. I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Starr. You listen to me, Rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. Thanks, Miss Starr. Keep selling those sandwiches. I mean, rice balls. I've gotta go see. I gotta go somewhere. There he is. Gumshoe should still be here. Hopefully. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he's talking about a desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer's still no. Huh? I'm not letting you into the chief's office, period. Be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. But I have to take a look in there. There's gotta be something we can do to make Detective change his mind. I think there's one thing that'll definitely do it. What's this crumbled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be this serious! Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they've pushed him this far! Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. At first I thought he was as cold as ice. But now I know different. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I made up my mind. But here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out, they wouldn't let you off the hook for another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as determined. What? So at least let me do this. For Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, Detective. Thank you. Thanks, Gumshoe. So now let's do this. Chief's office. Here goes, Mr. Wright. Oh, cool. Oh, dear. That's haunting. Open sesame! If anyone finds us now, Detective Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Ah! Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Ah! Detective Gumshoe! What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, then what's the point of giving us your ID card? Hey, don't do that to my card! Yeah, I did kind of destroy it. I guess I shouldn't have done that. I hardly ever got a chance to come in here. So I figured I'd have to look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I've got a bad feeling about this. Do you know anything new? Chief's office. That desk on the other side of the room, was that your sister's? That one? Yes. That's why I was waiting for Lana. On that day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. That is entirely this is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us himself after our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk? No one except Chief Gant. And the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. So about Chief Gant. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah. You wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on! Not so fast, buddy! Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, you're supposed to start... It's supposed to stop bothering you, pal! Just like me messing up these lines. Don't just let it go at that! Sorry. This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? What? Yeah, Mr. Wright, what do we think of him? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best if I don't divulge my feelings yet. There he goes, ignoring me again. That's fine. So let's check out a bunch of things. First, I want to check out that organ. The Chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally, we all hear him playing it from the Criminal Affairs Department. That's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th. When a detective messes up, the Chief calls him into his office, makes him listen to the organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except the ringing in his ears. So it's an instrument for punishment. Literally. But aren't the Chief's ears effective? He never listens to anyone anyway. That's besides the point. Well, it looks like there's something there. These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. There's a small picture frame there on the left shelf. Hey! This is when Lana and I went to the theme park. It's still important to her. She never stopped thinking of her sister. This is Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. Maybe all the stuff's legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her, or in memory of the crime? What's this? Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. This is the 15th floor. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? Ever since being detective, I've always dreamed about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. So as long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired. Don't say that! Let's check out the picture. This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. Then went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? Let's head over to the right. But there's his desk. Wow! Look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two! Chief Gant! He put that paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence, used in a case. A list of evidence? In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this. Hey, look at the case name! Huh? SL9 incident! I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about the evidence lists. Normally they run twice as long. That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-sized list of evidence. The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it! Chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. I guess we're gonna record this down quickly. Let's look at this statue here. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons? Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ, now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayers' dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Shh. Be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't have to... You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. Well, let's check out this safe. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. It looks like the code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. I'm gonna go out and guess. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want me to try my birth date? It's... I'm pretty sure that I know what it is. I think we found Mr. Septuple 7. Yes! Bingo! What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 77777777. The final ID card number on that record. What? Number of the mysterious executive officer who entered that room that day. You mean 77777777? The ID number? I think it went 7 shy this time. It can only mean one thing. It's Chief Gant's ID card number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Oh yeah, we better do that before he shows up. Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's a shard of a broken cup. This is somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? There's something else on here too. Uh-huh. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. This is the handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up the design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? Is that all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it. And a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. But unless you can't prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great. Now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident? Come on, there's got to be something we can show the detective. Well, actually, let's see. I think we solved the riddle behind this unstable jar. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? All of us put that back together. Oh, those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic for yesterday. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence in that case? That's right. Just one of the shards had an SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one? That was in the safe? Yeah, that one! That was in the safe! Oh! Now you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells! Let's see if it fits. Alright. Here, let me have that. Let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what your rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. Why does she have this? Whatever. If I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. There's only one spot I can go, and let's turn around. There we go. It's complete. There. It fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence in the SL9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece you just attached is different from the others. Huh? There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line. That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? I don't know, but we have it fully completed. Now, as for that last one, I think I have a clue. Or rather, some evidence. If I'm fired, I won't be able to give you any information. So that's why I have to get it all out of my system now. You understand, don't you? Don't be so negative, detective. We do want you to share your information, though. Oh, who am I fooling? I've never had anything useful to share to begin with. Got to stay positive. It's tough to do that. Oh, wait a second. There's a handprint. I'm an idiot. It's a gumshoe. I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what that is. So you want to take some fingerprints? It's a great idea, detective. Alright, go to town. Sheesh. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you gonna stick your hand out like that? Go ahead and take your fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on. You don't have this time for jokes. I'm talking about the cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humor? Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check the fingerprints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. And then, once they've been absorbed to the print, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. Well, this one looks good. Let's just... There it is. Now, let's see. This is not his brother. No, it's not Jake Marshall. Why does this look... What? I'm sorry, what? No. How can this be? What are Ema's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? Uh-huh. Oh, it seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Aw. It's too bad. Thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst. Hey, you. Over here. Alright. What's going on here? What's that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Just keep that information from Ema for now. Here. Maybe you should hold on to this. Thanks, Gumshoe. Well, was I any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. No, that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Chief Gant! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking him to my meeting, I happened to look out the window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then, I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid we're going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir! Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir... Now get out! Yes, yes, sir! We'll be on our way too, then. Wait, you, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. But, Mr. Wright? Look, pal, if I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. The chief office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yep, but I didn't think I knew it'd be like this. I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. It's hard to believe anyone would keep quiet about this all this time. Anyway, you listen to me? I'm gonna go try to smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police want to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. So, it's kind of late, but... I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. Who it is you're hiding behind those words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm really jealous. Huh? It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of that story. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's what hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so, because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say? So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think you're afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, whom may I ask is this person you're speaking of? The one I'm supposedly so frightened of. What's this person's name? Chief Gant. Well, Miss Skye? Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about the circumstances? Damon Gant. We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he was respectable, then tell me something. Why would you try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both of you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have been possible The only party who could have possible investigated that evidence was. That's not a sentence. It means possibly. Me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you. But also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. Alright. Take this! I just found this in a safe in the chief's office, I say, right, looking straight at a security guard. This jar piece, and this strip of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, what are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate in the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders? Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Orders? Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. Just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edward's car. The trunk was broken. I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edward's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edward's knife? That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand right there. Yes, it seems I got blood on the victim's shoe as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife into him. Miss Starr. Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It doesn't make sense. It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that, by whatever means possible. So, you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it. In Edward's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister to tell her what happened and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. He wanted that fact to be kept hidden. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only brother person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that, after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean, not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Officer Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubt he must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room? I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. You've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. This is finally it. We're getting down to the wire, and we're finally going to deal with the last trial of all the evidence I need. And now we're gonna do it. This is Louis 614. See you next time on Ace Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Rise from the ashes. See you next time.